Welcome back live from San Francisco at the 36th Annual J.P. Morgan Healthcare Conference. With all of the action here, the industry is watching Capitol Hill. President Trump's pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, taking the hot seat later today for his confirmation hearing. One key issue for lawmakers, rising prices for prescription drugs. My next guest is on the front line of the issue. Joining me right now in a Fox Business exclusive is the CEO of Mylan Labs, Heather Bresch. Heather, it's great to see you again.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So the last time we spoke, you were in the middle of all of this controversy over the EpiPen. That was $1 billion drug. You were basically publicly shamed in terms of taking the price down. Is there another $1 billion drug on the horizon at Mylan that you can tell us about? Because I know you have a lot in the pipeline.
No, a lot in the pipeline, and we have many drugs in the pipeline. So it's not about any one drug. As you know, we're primarily generic. We have one of the largest portfolios, just a lot of momentum coming into 18, received Capoxin approval, S-Trace. We're looking forward to generic Advair. But I think importantly, to your point, it wasn't so much of EpiPen and the dollar amount the product was, it's the system. And I think where I found myself was starting a very important conversation about how the system works, all the players that participate in the system, and quite honestly, how it's broken for the patient at the pharmacy counter.
You sure did. And so let's talk about that for a second. Is the system still broken? I mean, are you still seeing all of these companies out there that you've got to give, they want to take of whatever profit you're making on the drug?
Yeah, the system is still working the way something's not built over 30 years and taken down overnight. I think importantly, what everybody is trying to figure out, and I do think the debate and the discussion has evolved quite a bit over the last 12 to 18 months, is that we have to solve for the patient at the pharmacy counter. And at the moment, they look uninsured until they reach this deductible, and they're paying high list prices versus getting the benefit of their insurance as they do on the medical side of the house, if they get a treatment or an explanation of benefits of anything they're receiving per se in a hospital.
And people don't have the money. I mean, we had an interview yesterday, someone from the J.P. Morgan Institute, who basically said as soon as people get their tax refund check, that's when they go to the doctor. So they're putting off going to the doctor and actually dealing with sickness because they don't have the money.
Right. No, look, it's at a terrible inflection point, and it's not sustainable. We've got to fix that consumer receives the benefit of the premiums they're paying in insurance, and they're getting the benefit of every discount, every rebate being offered, because the supply chain is competitive. We are paying rebates into the system. Every pharmaceutical company is negotiating and paying rebates into the system. The problem is they're not translated or they're not being transferred to that patient. So the patient's getting no benefit of the insurance and no benefit of any kind of rebate or the negotiating that's actually taking place in a very aggressive manner.
Let me ask you about the new FDA commissioner. Dr. Gottlieb, is he moving the process along quicker in terms of the approval process, getting more drugs out there?
He is. He really had a focus on complex generics, and he has very much lived up to what his goals were when he came into the FDA. He talked about wanting to focus on those first-to-market generics that are very important for the consumer and the patient and the system. And so we've seen definitely not only a rise in just generic approvals overall, but we've seen a nice uptick in the focus on complex generics. Like I said, Mylan just received Capoxin approval, which was one of the first for the 40 milligram. We're expecting generic Advair, which would be the first generic approval in that very important market space.
Look, we've been talking about the tax plan and what that means for the bottom line of corporations. You acquired Meta. 1 year ago, you did a big deal. Are you interested in using some of that savings to actually do another big deal this year?
No, look, we're very much focused on, we have been very steadfast on paying down our debt. Our balance sheet has never been stronger. We've got over $2 billion of free cash flow. We just finished a $1 billion share repurchase program. So we're very focused on delivering shareholder value and very focused on looking at products that complement our current portfolio, but we're not looking at any large transactions right now.
Are you still interested in going after Perrigo?
No.
You're done with that. That was...
look, Perrigo was a moment in time. We thought that it would have been a very transformational for the industry. It would have brought the largest generic and the largest OTC together. We think now that with the Meta transaction, we've not only been able to grow our OTC business outside the United States very substantially, but now have a nice footprint to build upon here in the United States.
And you're seeing more, for example, cheaper generic EpiPens pop up. I mean, what's the answer to getting prices lower? This is your business in the generics business. How do you get the prices lower regardless of...
And that's why we did what we did with EpiPen. We did what no brand company has ever done. We put a generic in the marketplace for half the price. And so we took care of the EpiPen problem. But what I said is that wasn't going to take care of the patient's problem or this healthcare problem. It's much larger, and it's affecting every product from insulin. You know, you can pick up the paper every day, and here we are in January. Deductibles are back at zero. So patients are back at that $0 game of having to now reach a $2,000 or $5,000 deductible. So it's about making sure the system is allowing patients and consumers to very much be part of the process. We're making them have huge out-of-pocket expenditure without giving them the benefit of all the B2B that's happening behind the scenes.
Does Amazon change the business?
You know, I think Amazon's trying to figure out how to change it. I think it's very difficult. We need disruption in the system, and disruption comes with disrupting how a patient's life is insured.
Heather, it's great to see you. It looks like you're going to have a great year. I can see the optimism and a lot in the pipeline. Thanks so much for joining us.
Very excited about Mylan in 18. Thank you.
See you. Heather Bresch joining us, CEO at Mylan.